This part of the tutorial series, we starting some database part. So all our database related work that we done in DLL project. So we need some package to start our database part. First need entity framework. Entity framework. Microsoft Entity Framework Core. API nodes. So first our added in DLL. Microsoft ASP.NET Core SQL Server. We also needed design, tools, okay. It also entity SQL Server also needed in our API project also. API entity framework core and SQL Server. Entity from SQL Server, it also needed in API project. Okay, all our dependency loaded. So at first I need a DB context, directory context folder. Here we store all our DB context, class application DB context, inherit from DB context, need a constructor, ultra insert constructor is a base constructor. This here DB context is done. At to need a model. First we work on some test work using a category model. New directory model, create a model, add class category, need some property prop, long, best pattern in primary key is category then ID, prop string name, prop string description. Okay, three part we added. So in our DB context also need to edit it. Prop DB set categories. Okay, done. In large type application, API only communicate with business logic layer. Business logic layer only communicate in database logic layer. We from API we cannot direct communicate in DLL. We always communicate in BLL. Okay. In our API part, we also need the dependency of SQL Server in API project. So in our configuration part, and after adding this SQL Server part, then we refactoring our some code service dot add DB context, our DB context name application DB context it cannot find, so we need to reference added. Application DB context, options, TIONS, options, options dot use SQL server. The required package also added when I added dependency for DLL. Okay, so I get it configuration dot get connection string is name default connection string, default connection. Okay, we added SQL server. Now we need, in our development environment, we always use appsetting development.json file for our various configuration. We added connection string. Let me see. Connection, connection, string, js connection strings. Connection string is right default connection. I write our connection from here, data source in SQL Server Management Studio. Just needed some time to open. I pause the video. Okay, it is my DB database connection name, and copy, add it in data source and bookshop is DB name. Okay, but one problem I face now, that is when every time you saw the tutorial your DB context is stay in API project, but now my DB context present in DLL part. How can I migrating it? Yeah, after when I started our project journey, then I faces this problem. Now I show you some tricks to solve this problem. What is the tricks? That is, open your terminal. Always try to use Microsoft command line core ASP.NET Core 3.1 CLI command line interface. That means ASP.NET Core runtime. Runtime is very helpful. You can use entity framework, ASP.NET Core 3.1 migration, ASP.NET Core entity framework migration entity framework code. Then use Microsoft command line tools. Command line tool is very useful. You can write any type of command here is using the SDK. When you first start your journey, .NET EF migration, when you add migration, now our DLL project, the database part project is different. That cause I use this command line tool to migrate our database. .NET EF database update, customer migration code, blah 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 blah. So in our project part terminal, I open terminal and I use .NET EF. .NET EF when you add command line tool, .NET EF is not workable because .NET EF is not .NET EF not installs default in command line tool, so you need to add .NET EF first. The command is .NET EF install. Yeah, the .NET EF installing .NET EF. You need to run this command to work .NET EF. Before you added this command, you cannot add any type of migration part using the command line tool. My machine already installed this package, so I don't need to add this, but when you are working you need to install it. So I am writing the command .NET EF migrations at initial migration need to specify the startup project or the area where your DB context file stay. In our scenario, in DLL project, our DB context is stored, and also specify the startup project location. Our startup project is API project, so I write API is my startup project. After run this, if a migration folder is generated inside a DLL folder, then everything is work perfectly. Okay, DLL. Yeah, a migration folder is created. Initial migration in category table already done. So I need to update database. Update database also run this command .NET EF database update project DLL startup project API. This command, the run the migration command in database. After it said done, then we check it in our database area, management studio. So refresh it. Yeah, a bookshop, a database created, in table part, a categories table also generated. So everything is working perfectly. These two commands also needed. So before doing any other job, we need to refactor our code and also store our code in GitHub repository. So what I need to change, modify that part. This configuration service part is very large, so I need a small function API versioning configure এখানে we need to pass the service. We created a method, create method, private method, and get this code from here. Okay, this part is for Swagger configuration, so I write Swagger configure and also send the service part, create method, cut. Okay, and another part is database configure. So also need pass service, create method, cut. Now our code is very simple. We part a large part code in a small piece of part. Okay, a refactoring done. We need to commit our code in GitHub repository. Show in Explorer. I always use git bash, git status. You see the .ida folder present. I need to add it in git ignore file. So I open git ignore file. Slash ida dot store, and again check git status. You see the idea folder is not present there. So we need git add dot git commit -m initial commit with db part done. So we need a repository to github.com. I stay repository, name it bookshop, public repository, create repository. I need SSH, git remote at origin. And also need a readme file. Touch dot readme.md. I create a readme.md file for our any type of help command. Show all file. Yeah, I see the readme.md file. Install plugin. Okay, accept. I basically need two command to write here, because every time when I migration, two command is needed. Restart JetBrains. Pause. Okay, it's already opened. Okay. Migrations important command and D. Migration important command 1 equal add migration my command, which I run sometimes before. I also write it in notepad. The command Okay, second command, command 2, update database command. Okay, and need a link my project analysis link. At the link presentation link my. Okay, so our link added. Now git status git add dot git commit -m readme file added git push origin master. Shit, permission deny. Okay, so stop. Okay, now repository added and code also committed, and here's the two important command: add migration, upgrade, and my analysis part done. So now stop this video. Next part we start some crude operation. Okay.